Arduino Workbench. What's in?
Welcome to the Arduino Workbench. Here we have the Arduino Workbench, courtesy of Betabox Learning, with the phase box top. Inside the kit, you're going to need to get your Elegoo or just your Arduino Uno. You're going to click it in. And you're also going to need to get your breadboard module, also clicking it into the base. A few other supplies you're going to need are 5 jumpers. I have 2 reds, 2 blacks, and a green. I like to keep all of my positives red, all of my negatives black, and then data or other sensors to be a different color. You need a 470 ohm resistor. This one is a yellow, purple, brown, and gold. And you will also need the DHT11 sensor. The DHT11 and 22 are the same thing, just one has a higher sensitivity. So to hook this up, you take these 4 pins. Remember, this is your voltage, this one is your data, this one is not going to be used, and then this is your ground, which will be your black. So we're going to start off by hooking up our power to our breadboard. We're going to take our black one and go into the ground, going into the blue side of this rail, and we're also going to hook into the 5 volts, which is right next to the ground. And then we now have power, once the Uno is powered on, to the breadboard. And so then these 3 pins, I'm going to put them at 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the, is that L? Oh, J. So I'm going to put those in there. These are a little flimsy, so be very careful when you put them in. Kind of straighten them out if you need to. And see if I can do this on camera without messing it up. There. So that's seated in securely. Zoom in a little bit. And so from here, let me zoom out just a little bit. So from here, I'm going to put voltage to the left-hand side. So I take my red wire, and so the very leftmost pin of those 4. And I'm going to put my black wire, so we have a ground, going from the ground side of the rail over. And so the middle 2 are open at this moment. Since this is not the module that's on the breakout board, we need to actually use the resistor, focus, to then jumper between the black side and the second pin in, or the red side and the second pin in. So we're going to actually jumper that right there. So you see that it is connected between the red side and goes to the middle. And then, for this, we're going to connect to that second pin our data connection, and that's going to go into pin 4 of your Arduino board. And that's the hookup guide. And now you're ready for programming. Here we are in the Arduino web editor. You'll get here by clicking Open Code from the Betabox website, the project website, and then you can open this sketch, which is what Arduino calls its codes. So here I've selected Arduino Uno, so it's on my COM port. Your COM port might be different, but originally you click it and you select ports or select your board, and you have a bunch of different options. Find the Arduino Uno, because that's what your board is. And then you can select what COM port it's on, and that's ready to go. Here you've got, it's the DHT11 temperature sensor sketch. And so this has, I can close this. This has some comments. So first off, we're going to include the DHT library. So that's a library of codes that specifically work with the DHT11 sensor. And then we define pin 4. So that's what this pin 4 here as the DHT11 data port. And then this says that we're going to be using the DHT11 as the sensor. So later on you'll see where it says DHT11. That means that it's going to be using this library. So with void setup, that happens once. We're going to set the baud rate, the rate at which data goes from your Arduino to your computer, as 9600 baud. Then we go into the void loop. And so this happens until infinitely, until your Arduino loses power, or your computer loses power, or the connection is disconnected. So we start off with the serial print line blank, and it's really not necessary, but it helps with readability. It just adds a blank line inside your data, or in between each line of data. And then we say, okay, read the data from pin 4 of your Arduino, and then we're going to print that information. So we're going to print, first off, just some human readable text, so temperature in degrees Celsius. And then we're also going to add a float of 2, a value of 2. So that means we're going to have 2 decimal points after the ones space. And we're going to get the temperature reading from your Arduino, the sensor from pin 4. And then we're going to delay for 2 seconds. This is actually in 2 milliseconds, so it's 2000 milliseconds, which for us is just 2 seconds. So it's just going to keep doing that. So we've got Arduino Uno there. You can verify and save, but I've done that already, so I'm just going to hit upload and save. So it's going to take a moment for it to communicate between your computer and the Arduino. There's some TX RX flashing lights on the board that you can look at. But hey, it's sending it, and so it'll take a second. Your AVR dude is done, and hey, so it's saved and it's done uploading. So now these right here, these serial prints, go to your serial monitor, and so that's this 4th option here, and you click on it, and so it's like, okay, 9600 baud, that's what we're going to talk to you at, and temperature in Celsius is, in my room right now, is about 20 degrees Celsius, which is about 70-ish. And so I can check to make sure this is actually working by taking my hand and putting it on the sensor. And so it'll take a moment for it to, oh, there it goes. So it's now going up bit by bit. And so you can play with it and verify that that's working or pretty accurate. And so some options here you can play with. I would not recommend playing with the serial monitor speed, but you can change, put some other information here. If you wanted to actually change, instead of doing Celsius, you could do Fahrenheit and actually put in the equation to change the information that comes from the DHT11 into Fahrenheit if you so wish. You can also change the delay to change the speed at which it collects data. So there is your code.